The question for the day is the venerable Martin D-45 worth its extremely high price tag? We're going to put it to the test. Which is better, expensive versus cheaper, less expensive? Martin, stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store linked in the description for our custom t-shirts. So you have the more expensive guitar today. Mm-hmm. Lucky. And I have the less expensive guitar today, but that's okay. It's a good guitar.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. That's probably going to be the outcome of this video. It's fine. So it is it worth it type of video. We are comparing a extremely expensive Martin guitar to a much more affordable Martin, and I think this is a good comparison.
Yeah.
This is the D-45.
The D-45.
Anything else need to be said? D-45 is famous. It is basically the top of the line flagship model of the standard series that Martin makes. And I have a Martin D-12E, which is part of their Road series manufactured in their Mexico facility, which is a great value-oriented guitar. But the difference in price between these two is about $9,000 and then some.
Yeah.
Which is
pretty wild.
Pretty not insubstantial. But you get a nice case.
You do get a cool case. I've seen those ones come with other guitars, so it's like,
yeah.
What's the deal here?
No, it's a nice case. Definitely not most of the difference in not the $9,000 price difference. So let's talk a bit about them. You've played both.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to play both, and there are differences.
Yeah. It's interesting. Part of when I was thinking about this video, wanting to do it, we got this in yesterday. First time I think I've seen one, really, and I think you said that we really haven't had these in the store that often.
Not very often. So we ordered this a long time ago, so that's part of it. They take forever to come in because of all of the handwork done on them, which is a big reason for the price tag.
Yeah, and the thing is, spruce and rosewood. Mm-hmm. Sitka spruce, East Indian rosewood. Also found on a D28, HD28.
D-35s, D-42s, 41s.
D-41.
Yeah.
D-55, you got to even go to a whole different manufacturer to get that one. But
not Martin.
Yeah, not Martin. So my question is, if a lot of the ingredients are the same, we saw D-41 in here not too long ago, mm-hmm. and I think it was around the 6 area. What is the big jump from even higher end, standard series guitars to this one? And then what's the difference between, obviously, wood pairing's different on here.
Yeah.
Manufacturing location is different. But tell me what you know about why the 45 is even such a huge jump from like a 41 or 42.
Well, it's a great comparison because we can actually use this guitar and that guitar to explain the differences. So let's start here.
Yeah.
So the D-12E is made in Mexico. That's going to keep the price down because their wage costs are lower, and they use a bit more technology, and they basically boil this down to the essence of what a guitar needs to be. So it's all solid wood on this particular D12. This is a Sitka spruce top. It's the Pele back and sides. Now the top on this is not going to be as nice as the top on that. It's not going to be as nice as a top on a 16 series, 18 series, 28, whatever.
Yeah.
They sort the wood that they purchase, and tops that don't have the same consistency or have particular issues. Maybe it's a visual thing. It's not as tight grain. What have you? There's a number of things that come down to grading wood. They all get sorted out, and the top end of that stuff ends up on the top end guitars, mm-hmm. and the lower end stuff ends up on the lower end guitars. So in comparison with this, something that's a solid top and HPL back and sides from their X series would have Sitka spruce, but not as good. So that's the first thing. It is all solid wood. The finish on it is a poly-based finish. It's not nitro. Mm-hmm. It's easier to apply. It's very robust. It's a good finish. There's nothing wrong with it. The materials used. So the fretboard is Richlite. It's not ebony. So what is the benefit of that? Well, the benefit of it is that you can control your costs, and it's stable. You don't have to worry about the humidity making the wood warp because it's not wood.
Yeah.
It's easy to put frets into and everything. There's no binding on the neck. It does have open gear Grover tuners, which that one does as well, but you and I have already talked about the ones on that feel much higher ratio than the ones on this guitar. And then the ornamentation is a big part. So this basically has none.
Yeah.
It's got binding. It's got a very basic rosette. And in a lot of ways, a very similar look and aesthetic to some of the US-made guitars.
Yeah.
But applied in a different fashion. It's got the basic logo up here on the headstock, and you get a gig bag with it. So what's cool about this guitar is that Martin's taken what needs to be there and kind of boiled it down to get to the point where they can produce the guitar, at the price that they do it at. So that's what's great. There is no cost controls as far as trying to get it as low as possible.
Yeah.
In this particular case, it's like taking the controls off. So to your point, it's made in the USA factory. It's made on the same line as the other standard series Dreadnoughts, like a D-28, HD-28, 35, 41, 42. And each of those, as you go up, goes up in price.
Yeah.
So if it's the same tone wood, and it's roughly the same process, where does it diverge? And I'll tell you, on this one, the main divergence points, and this is consistent throughout the line, come down to the ornamentation that's being used and some of the build aspects. So these guitars both have X-brace, scalloped X-bracing, 5/16 brace width. That one is forward shifted. It's a higher quality of wood that's used for it. Higher quality of wood.
Is it
that's for the
Sitka
top.
or Adirondack?
I believe it's Sitka. Sitka scalloped forward shifted X bracing.
Yeah.
That's going to be the finest sets of East Indian rosewood that they've got.
I mean, it looks pretty dang good. You can tell it's a nitro because of all.
Yeah, we got it yesterday, so it's still like off gassing with like compound and stuff.
It's shedding. Yeah. That, just a quick aside, is probably my favorite back strip that they do. I think that's the Style 45,
That's
obviously.
the Style 45.
But we have that on that custom 00014F. I think it's one of the coolest things, and it's a nice little break from the abalone, but that is one of my favorite parts of the guitar.
I mean, since its introduction in the 30s, it's basically been equal parts guitar and art. I think the first one was actually made for Gene Autry.
Really?
Yeah, in the early 30s.
That's pretty cool.
And the price on it, you want to guess?
$15.
It was about $210 plus an extra $10 for the pearl, basically.
Wow.
When it was actually introduced as a model, it was in 1942. That I believe that we actually have some firm pricing. It was $250. Now, to put that in context, a D18 was about half the price. So the price of this has actually gone up far more than when you compare it to its other guitars in the lineup. And inflation. $250 in today's money is about $4,500 bucks. But a lot of that speaks to sourcing the materials and the cost of putting it in. So each of these like hexagonal wafers of abalone pearl is pretty substantial in size, and they're not thin or like stickers. So one of the cool things that I've had the opportunity to do is at the factory watch them build one of these.
Really?
And before the finish is going on, there's somebody hand inlaying every single piece of abalone. And it's not a small thing. There are manufacturers, on lower priced guitars that have ornamentation that will use basically like stickers. It's effectively like pearl that's been laminated so it's easier to work with and it's thinner and it's fine. It's ornamentation, whatever. But that's not what this is. It's actually chunks of cut abalone pearl that is inlaid in a deep channel throughout the top, around the fretboard extension, the rosette, the sides,
all the way down the
and
sides.
the back of the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, just along the heel and everything.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's completely bordered in this abalone pearl, along with the fretboard, the ebony fretboard, and then the logo, which
my favorite.
It's
inlay.
my favorite logo too.
Yeah, the block inlay. That's the coolest thing that they do.
You always know when you see a guitar with that inlay, you've crossed a threshold,
you're like,
price-wise, and kind of what's going into the guitar. And so, the big part of the cost of this is there's a guy or a gal sitting in there in the factory, meticulously laying in each one of these pieces of pearl, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wild. Really, I think we rarely like just stop and kind of look at every single little piece, but it's pretty special.
It's really interesting. So, because I've got 2 guitars that have abalone border tops on them, and I forget about that.
Yeah.
I don't pay very close attention to your point of
Yeah.
like staring at it. I take it out of the case, I play it, I pull it off the wall, I play it. But I remember being struck once. My son, I think, was playing it on a stage,
Yeah.
and it hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, because the border just shimmers
Yeah.
in the lights, and I was like, that's a really pretty guitar.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Also, just something that I like, they got the diamond volute on there,
Yes.
which you won't find in the Road series.
That's right. You won't even find it across the standard series.
Yeah, on some. It's weird.
It once you hit a certain
Strange,
point,
yeah.
it starts to get done.
So one thing I want to ask you about, because I honestly don't know, but I'm thinking about the price point. I'm thinking about things that drive custom shop prices up, and just standard models. This is Sitka top, no VTS.
Right.
This is not high glue construction.
Correct.
How do they get away with that? Like having a close to $10,000 guitar without those 2 things that I feel like are in the custom shop associated with that price range.
It's a good question. So you've done custom shop builds with me. You've seen how the pricing on it works, and effectively, if you were to build this in the custom shop with hide glue and VTS and whatever, then it would be $15,000 or more.
Yeah.
And so every single thing has a cost to it. So if you are, say, going custom shop, there's 3 routes you can take. One route, you can focus on the things that make it a better instrument. Just make it a better guitar, period. 2, you can have a really good guitar and focus on things that make it unique and more beautiful. Because those things are relatively exclusive from one another. I would argue that a non-VTS but tinted top like this is prettier than a VTS top that kind of gets brownish, potentially. Beauty in the eye of the beholder.
Well, this is like the color of the Martin top that you look at this just side by side with yours. This one looks like every Martin that everybody's ever dreamt of owning.
Yeah. And so so you could say you do hide glue. No one sees that, right? It doesn't make the guitar better, arguably. And so those are the types of things that you can pay for. You can also pay for inlay. You can pay for exotic woods. And if you pay for all of it, which would be the 3rd option, then you end up something like this that's customized. And it is extremely expensive. Even if you take this and you do a slight change to it, it gets $1,000 more expensive potentially, or more.
I mean, I was helping one of our guys here with a build yesterday, just entering the custom shop, $1,200 surcharge.
Right.
Which you get it. I mean, you got a custom
You're
shop
taking a guitar
creating
off of the
guitar.
line.
Yeah,
and you're taking up a spot there. Yeah.
It's wild. But I do think that there's something to be said with they have the formula of making the perfect Dreadnought guitar. It works from the 18, which I guess this is sort of a light version of to a certain extent.
Sort of. Yeah.
But from, even 15s and 16s, but I think about standard series, 18 through 45, it would feel a little off, I guess, to go from, you can get a D-35, it's a great guitar, it doesn't have the VTS or hide glue either. This is standard, it's standard for a reason, and then you can go find that stuff for yourself elsewhere. But there's one more thing that I want to bring up before we get into the demos too. I was playing this yesterday. Josh behind the camera heard it. I was playing softly out there, and it still just pushed so much. He was commenting on the response to a light touch that you don't typically associate, with a guitar this size. I think there's a lot of things that go into it, but the strings on here are very different from the strings on that one.
Yeah, these are standard Martin medium gauge phosphor bronze strings.
And
those
this
are titanium.
has the titanium core strings, which kind of are a meme around here because none of us can afford them. But
they're $40 a pack.
Yeah.
And they're nickel, so they're kind of like the Monel strings, but with a titanium core.
Yeah, which is wild. But I would like to maybe at some point do a string comparison with just some regular uncoated Martin strings, some of the coated ones, and then
Yeah.
the titanium on the same guitar and see, because it makes me wonder if that's part of what's driving the sound of this guitar.
Well, I demoed them, and so I'm going to tell you what's part of it, but we'll let them listen first.
Let's do it.
So there you have it. Hopefully you heard some differences in the demo. I'm going to articulate what I experienced between the two. And right off the bat, here's what we're going to say. Clearly, this is a better guitar. This is a lot better of a guitar. Is it $9,000 better? As a guitar, no, it's not $9,000 better. And a HD28 would give it a run for its money because they're very similar guitars, sound-wise. But you don't buy this solely as a musical instrument. If you are aspiring to own something like a D-45, you're buying it because it's an amazing instrument, because of the beauty that's associated with it, because of the history that's associated with it, all of those things. Nobody buys, let's move it out of guitars, nobody goes and buys a Shelby GT500 Mustang because it's a really good Mustang,
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who buy those never get to take it to a track day and fully experience the explosive power that a vehicle like that has.
Yeah.
But there's all of these other things associated with it that emotionally make you invested to own something like that because it's special. And that's the deal here. This is the Shelby GT500, a Porsche 911 GT3, whatever you want to call it, of the Martin lineup. It's a classic, historic model that is at the top of its game in their lineup, and that's why it demands the price, along with all of the time that goes into building it.
Yeah.
So it's not $9,000 better, but it's a lot better than that guitar.
Yeah.
And that's a good guitar.
This is a good guitar. I think that they've, I don't know how much was changed in the last maybe 5 years of Martin's Road and X Series. I like them all, within each little price range, because it jumps up all the way till you get into those American-made guitars. They're all pretty dang good, and this is the 12. The 10s are cool. I mean, we were about to do that, and then we realized it was not the right wood on top, but, 13s, great.
But that description, I think, is a big distinction. They're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good. They're good guitars. And my playing today, I thought about it right after I was done playing. I thought, in a vacuum, I would grab that guitar and it would be great. But in a comparison, I played this guitar first. And that guitar was a struggle comparatively to play.
Yeah.
Now, they have the exact same neck profile. They have the same nut width. They have different strings. The actions and setup is pretty much on par with one another. But what it was what you were talking about that you experienced with Josh. And that is the ease by which I could play this. It just was easy.
Yeah.
It took a very light touch and the guitar responded very well, whether it was finger picked or with a flat pick.
Yeah.
It responded really, really well. Comparatively, on that one, I'm having to dig in more to get even less volume out of it, and because of that, my playing suffers, and it's just not as an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
If I bought that on its own and it was my only guitar, it would be a fantastic guitar. But if you go from driving a really, really nice car into like some really cheap rental, you miss all of the wonderful things you have. Did I ever tell you what happened with my truck that one time? So I had an issue with my truck, which I'm spoiled with, and I had to get a rental. And so they gave me some rental F-150 that was like an XL model. I was like, boy, okay. It's a good truck, but I'm missing all of my, all the little luxury things.
Massaging seats over there.
I do have massaging seats. So, but yeah, this is an easier guitar to play. And so it responds that way. I don't think it's just the strings. And here's why. I think the strings create a difference and a nuance in the tone that you get because they're nickel. But it's really the resonance. You can feel the body responding when you're playing this guitar. Whereas with that one, it's just not. It's not in it with you. Part of it may be the finish. I think there's a lot of things going on with it that kind of inform the response of the guitar. But this is what we see across the board. As you go up in price, guitars get better. There's a point that you cross over where it becomes about how it's special, how it's unique, how it's beautiful.
Who played it,
whatever, that moves on. And all of those things have value associated with them. It just stops becoming that much of a better instrument.
Yeah.
But up until that point, they are becoming better instruments. And my experience today was proof positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing that this one has on it, it's got a way better pickup in it.
Well, this one doesn't have any pickup in it, so.
Yeah. There we go.
But you know what? This one is so loud. You could be in a bluegrass band, and
you'd be fine.
You could keep your own with the mandolin player.
Yeah,
It'd be fine.
They'd think that you're a city slicker that has to have a pound of abalone on the guitar in that bluegrass band. But
most of those
you'd
guys
sound
actually
good.
have pretty ornate guitars. True story, though.
They've got those crazy Deering banjos that have twice as much.
You want to talk about
inlay as
opulent
that.
guitars? Go to the banjo world. Oh my gosh, dripping with pearl. But I actually just saw it was a TikTok. I follow the Grand Ole Opry TikTok account, and they'll do these like dressing room kind of songs with these bands that are playing, and I think both guitar players had vintage D-45s.
Wow.
I was like, look at that. I don't even want to talk about how much those would cost.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, but no, fantastic guitar. Is it for everybody? No. Is it worth it? It depends. As a guitar by itself, it's not worth the money.
Yeah.
As a guitar that has history and beauty to it that is more than a guitar, then yeah, potentially.
Not for everybody, could be for anybody.
There you go.
Come on. I think Martin
And I'm only
trademarked
slightly
that one. Yeah.
scared playing this guitar. I don't know.
Yeah,
about
I know.
you. So, anyway.
Do some tapping on there.
So, is it worth it? Yeah, depends.
Sure.
For the right person, it's absolutely worth it. And for the wrong person, they'd be scared to death to play it.
Yeah.
So, there you have it. Hopefully, we figured it all out for you. Good enough? Way more than enough.
More than enough, yeah.
So, there you go. If you have any more questions about either of these guitars, you can go to our website. It's alamomusic.com. If you're looking for a guitar that can do a lot for you at a good value, Martin's Road Series, I cannot say enough good things about. It's fantastic. If you're interested in the upper echelon of Martin's line to have something truly special, unique, that's an heirloom quality instrument, we have those too, and we can also help you build something that is custom spec to you alone. So just visit Alamo Music. They can fill out a form, they can chat with someone live, or you can call or come in and we'll help you out.
Yeah, please let me design a custom with you, because that's like my favorite website to be on right now, just building those guitars.
That's what you're doing all day. Got it. Okay. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and keep coming back for more. We'll see you next time.